Hi, hey Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Today I want to talk about my sanding mats. But before we do that, real quick, I wanted to show you my permanent home from my hand plane jointer. I made this jointer out of a small block plane. It's about 22 inches long and it's been really great. And now, right here at my table, I can work on my table, and this is right here where I need it. And I can still take small pieces and square them up pretty easily on here. There's a video on it a couple videos ago, and if you want to know more about it, just you have to go check it out. I'll leave a description, and in the description I'll leave a link to it. So, and when it sits here, all I do is I have a couple of bench dogs that I keep in here that hold this in place. So I can just set this right here, put my bench dogs in, and I have this hole, I've set it offset from the hole just a tiny bit, and I've actually put a bevel on this one dog, bench dog, so I can put that in the hole, and now I can just take and knock it down in there, and this thing actually is more than sturdy enough to get up here and do something with it without any problem. So this is great. It's a great location for it right here by my mini bench, and I use it a lot since I put it here. When I'm not using it, I just keep a towel right here that helps protect me from it and it from me when it's not in use. So I just wanted to show you real quick an update on this. It's a great little table. You should make one, really. Anyway, and if you isn't successful when you're done, you decide you don't like it, take it apart, take your wood back apart, no big deal. Put the block plane back in your toolbox. But it's worth getting a block plane and doing this. I love it. So anyway, let's do what we came here to do. Let's go talk about that sanding mat. You got to go over here. So hold on. Here you go. And there is where my sanding mat goes. When I use it, I just set it up here on my workbench. When it's not in use, I keep it right here underneath on my part. So if I need it, I can pull it out and set it up here on my silicone mat, and I can use it right here. Since the last time you saw this, I put a couple of boards right here, small 3/4 by 1 inch. So I now have a finger hold to be able to grab it and lift it, because it is quite heavy. Also, I finished and I put a piece across the front, so now I have this cradle area. So now I can take my pad and set it down in there, and it holds it right in place. So that now I can take my pieces of wood and I can do flat sanding with them, or if I want to sharpen up a chisel or any blade, this works real well for that sort of thing. And my grits go from 60 up to 400. So I have a choice to get a nice flat sanding surface. This has actually worked out really nice. Again, you can go back and look at the original, but basically it's just a 3-sided box and 3/4 inch dados, 1 inch apart, to hold the tiles. The tiles are right at a 1/2 inch thick, and they're 6 by 12 tiles that I just picked up. They were scrap left over from working on a site somewhere, and somebody gave them to me, and I just made these little shelves to hold each one individually. And when I store the sandpaper, this side of the tile is very smooth, so I sprayed it with adhesive, and I stuck the different grits of sandpaper and all the different ones on it. And when I store it, because after a while the adhesive may dry a little bit, especially on the edge, and the edge will try to curl up on you. But if you take your tile and put them in upside down and drop them in, now that tile will stay flat. The weight of the tile and the sandpaper, that stays perfectly flat all the time. So this works out real well. And with the cradle up here, it makes it really nice to be able to have a place to set it. And when it's not in use, I can now pick it up And I can set it right over there. And that works out real nicely for me. So, and if I want to use just one tile, I can grab the tile I need instead only, lay my silicone mat down, set my tile on it, and it'll stay put so I can now take it and use it without it moving around. If I didn't use the mat, that wouldn't hold still very well. So the silicone mat makes it really nice to use the tiles without having to be using the case. So I have the option, either or. Also, the sandpaper, I keep them, now I keep one sheet of each grit, and as I cut it up and use it, because obviously you cut up little pieces and use them for different things, I just keep that in a file folder now right on top of it. And each pocket is a different grit of sandpaper, so I can find them all. Keep a pair of scissors in there so that I can cut off what I need each time. If I use up a certain grit, I keep these flat sheets right here. So, and being on a rolling cart, I can push it back and grab a sheet or two of whatever I need, pull them out and leave that right here. So all my flat sheets now are right here, readily available to me also. So that's how I do a lot of my flat sanding. Really works great. But I still do little pieces of sanding. That's why I also have the file folder that I use. I still use sponges at times, not all the time, but they're handy to have around. I especially like the ones with the beveled edge here on one edge to give you that nice sharp corner to work with if you need to, working on something. They're handy to have around. But this is probably my favorite, single favorite sanding block that I use. And basically, I just did this out of a straight grain piece of cedar, and I put a handle on it. And you can use this thing just like a block plane. So if I want to sand the top of it, and I want to keep it good and flat while I sand it, this will do it. I can hold it up here, and by putting it on my mat, it doesn't take much force to hold it down while I'm using it. And I can keep it nice and flat when I use it. Also, if I want to, I can take it, turn it upside down, and clamp it with a clamp. And now I have a flat sanding surface here, just a small one, so I can kind of get in here to get odd shapes and work the odd shapes on it. So this in particular, it just seems like something I use a lot. And it's very simple. When wear out the sandpaper, I just lay another one on there with wood glue again and hold it, clamp it down for 20 minutes, a half hour, and I'm good to go. If it gets too thick with sandpapers, I just peel them all off and I start over with a new sheet. This one I always put 60 grit on. Just seems like that's when I'm doing it. That's usually the size. That's the grit I really use most of the time for it. You can make a whole set if you wanted to, but I just haven't found the need to do all of them. But this is a great little sander too. So wanted to show you that. That's pretty much my scheme on flat sanding. Pretty soon I'll show you my idea of how I handle all my small handheld power sanders. I have 2 palm sanders and I have 2 orbital sanders. And I'll show you how all that's set up here in the near future and how I use those. So, but I usually do those over on my Legacy tabletop because that's where my dust hood for collecting fine dust in the air is. And so there you create a lot of dust. So I keep that. I usually do that over there rather than over here on my regular bench these days. So anyway, that's another story. Don't mean to get rambling on. This isn't a Rambling Russ video. This is an OTB Thinker moment. And it's about my sanding pads. So anyway, it's a great addition to the shop. Didn't cost me any money really. And so if you have a small shop, this is a great idea to have so you can do flat sanding. No more taping my sandpaper down to the top of my table saw so I can get a flat sanding surface. It's ready and available at a moment's notice without any problem, and it doesn't take up any space. So, well, that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please say so. I do want to thank you for stopping by. If you have anything you want to share, any comments or observations, please leave them below. I'm sure that all of us would love to see and read those. So, but most importantly, come back again because we're nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you again very soon. See ya.